Hello everybody, welcome back to the Ace Simulations channel. So today is going to be a little bit of a sad video because this flight simulator I'm actually going to be selling. So this video is going to be kind of a final tour of what all the sim has, and don't worry, I'm going to have a great backlog of videos, lots of content also on my Patreon. You'll get early access to all of those as I edit them, but I will have videos being released, and after this is gone, I'm still going to do lots of flight simulation content. I'm also going to be doing some more of my rocketry stuff as well, so definitely subscribe and leave likes if you're interested. It does help me, and don't worry, there will be a new flight simulator sometime soon. So with all that, this video is going to be just a final kind of tour of everything the sim has, and it's also going to go in a little bit in-depth into like materials and things like that, so if you're interested in purchasing it, you can contact me and I'll have a link for that in the description below. Okay, so here's the sim. It's all set up just cold and dark right now. Everything's off. I'll show you how to set it up. So it's pretty simple. This is the computer I'm running it on. It's not, latest and greatest. It's 3 years old, but it can run the sim really well. So you don't need to spend a lot of money on a computer. So these are the cables needed. There's a switch right here. That turns on, you'll get 2 indicators. Turn on the subwoofer, all that's included. And then there's one other switch right in here in the glove box, which will turn on red. You can see everything will start booting up here. And then also just the TV, which is just a button on the back of it. So all that'll start turning on. That's all that's needed. There's another cable here. This is just for having like a headset, but you don't really need to use that. So pretty simple setup. This screen is for the instructor station. It can be connected to another computer on the network, and it'll display all the data from the sim. So that's really helpful if you're trying to teach stuff, because it'll indicate like your landing rate, it'll show your actual flight path, altitudes, airspeeds, all of that. So very useful. And then in the sim here you can see everything's turned on. So we'll go in here. Oh, and then there's this one to turn on too. It's just a simple button that you press, and then that free thing all connected and set up. There's lights up here which you can turn on. Those are pretty helpful. And then there's also panel lighting, so it can get pretty bright in here, which is helpful. So to start the sim, I'll start the actual simulator software first. It's Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and it can just connect and run perfectly fine. And then there's another executable I've created, and that will run all the software necessary for the simulator, and then it'll all just connect into the sim automatically. So the sound system is actually pretty excellent. Behind the panel is a big sound bar, and this is all connected into the TV. And so yeah, that stretches across the entire panel, gives really good sound, and then there's also the subwoofer down the corner, so it's got excellent sound. So while everything is starting up in the background, I'll show you the main components here. So it's got RGB lighting. This has a remote here, which goes in a little holder, and these lights are RGB, so all colors, can do, changing colors, all this sort of stuff you'd expect from that. And then there is, actually let me turn this on to white so we can see. There's the annunciator panel up here. This works, so you flip the switch, it'll turn on. That's good for procedure practice. There's a little clock off to the corner here. I have to put new batteries in it, but that's there. Your engine instruments here, so left and right fuel selector, oil temp, oil pressure, and then here it's a SciTech switch panel, so it works super well, and it's not perfect replica for the Cessna 172, but it's also got landing gear, so you can simulate other aircraft if you want. Here's the parking brake. It's just a simple in and out. On the ground is the Logitech rudder pedals, also another really good piece. Those are super reliable and work really well. RPM gauge is servo, and then behind this you can see is where the screen will be, and then that'll be your IFR instruments are here, and then your standard 6-pack. So, and then you have buttons here for setting your HSI and altimeter. This is a dummy panel, it's just here for looks, and then this is a radio panel. It connects into the sim, works. You can use it with an online network called VATSIM, and change your frequency, everything, and it works really well. This is kind of a miscellaneous panel. Originally it was for autopilot, however I use it to actuate some functions on the Garmin, which will pop up when we start the sim. This is what I use to change views, so you can kind of back out the view and put it into the main area as needed. This will pause the sim, this will start the simulation loading, and then this will do your audio, so you can toggle between like normal audio and then actually having the sim audio on. Over here, it's our real Hobbs meter, and then it's able to be turned on and off with the ELT here, so you can switch it to armed, and then the Hobbs meter will work. And you can see it's got about 98 hours on it. That's how long it's been used since I installed that. Realistically, it's probably over 100 hours. Flap handle here, just like the real thing, it hits the detents, and then you move it over and down for each detent. Mixture, it has the twists, so you can twist for fine adjustment, and then push in, and it'll lock. So just like the real thing. Here, throttle, it's got the friction lock, and then it's just a simple throttle. No fine adjustment on this one. Trim wheel is just a standard trim wheel, works great. You have fuel shutoff, fuel selector, and all these other switches and stuff can be customized wherever you want it to. It's just what I use it for. And then the yokes, both yokes here are linked, so you can fly with somebody else in the right seat, someone in the left seat, and if they're doing something stupid, you know, you can recover or just kind of guide them along, help out. Both have a push to talk, and that'll connect into the radio when you're on VATSIM, and you can actually talk to real air traffic controllers with that. So setting up the simulation is very simple. Just use the Microsoft Flight Simulator interface. I just have it set up Huntsville International, Cessna 172. When you're ready, you'll flip the start switch, and that'll automatically trigger everything to start loading. Once it starts loading, the next thing you'll do, I usually wait for it to load in first, and then I start this just as a procedure, make sure I don't have any errors with the software, but once it starts, you'll run the executable to actually run all the software in the instruments and all that. Alright, so once the sim's done loading, everything will load in. It's got both monitors hooked up, so you kind of have a wraparound view. There's no screen on this side, it's just the door. It's just for simplicity's sake, but everything will load up properly, and it's good to go, good frame rate and all that. There's a fly button down in the corner, click that, it'll load in. Alright, so Alt, left click, automatically opens up in the corner, and it's good to go. If it's not full screen, Alt Enter automatically goes full screen, so very simple. Alright, so now we'll run the executable. This is just a very simple software script. Just click it, and it'll automatically run everything. It'll run a batch file, which will load all the software. So here all the software is going to be launched. There's a bunch of different stuff, so this one will allow you to use a tablet and get live data on the tablet. So if you're wanting to do flight training, that's really useful. If you don't want that, we don't need it for this one, you can just close it. This will handle communications with real air traffic controllers. Again, if you don't want it, you just close it. This is for the radio, I'll just leave that running. And then this will handle the main instruments. So when you click OK, all the instruments will populate and load up. So, and then nothing else needs to be done with those, it's just automatically good to go. Okay, and then the next one is this one. You just click Run, and it'll automatically do your engine instruments and compass. So all that will connect up. And if your screen's set up like this, you just press this button, and it'll automatically configure your view. Views are all configured, so you have your wing out the side, good frame rate and all that, and then your view out the front, all your instruments, and then your radio stack, which you can see is cold and dark now that all the software is running. So very simple. It's a little bit more complicated just with my setup because I use my computer for multiple different things, not in the sim all the time. But if you get a dedicated computer, for instance, you can just have it automatically boot in the same state. So much simpler. Okay, so with the sim running and everything, views all set up, we can take a look at some stuff specifically. So for the radio stack, for instance, actually let me turn off these. If you turn on your battery and then your avionics master, when you do that, you'll see the radio turn on, and just like the real thing, the Garmin will go through its boot up sequence, and then your radios and everything work, and you can see, you can change it and then put that into active. Up here we have the whiskey compass. It's connected into the same microcontroller these are, and the RPM gauge, and so that'll just indicate your heading, and you can always check it with this. So, and if for some reason you have stuff not set correctly, you can set it here, and we can set the altimeter too, but both those are already set, so we don't need to worry about it. Behind the panel is where You can see the screen here, some of the wires. This is the sound bar right here, so it stretches one side of the panel to the other. And then back off to the side, back here, is just where some of the cabling is for that side screen. If you go behind the panel, you'll be able to see all the electrical wiring. So outside of the sim, this is what it looks like while it's running. So pretty cool looking. This shroud here is just to keep light from entering into the sim, so it's just helps a little bit with the immersion, especially once you turn off the lights to the room. And if you're doing night flying, for instance, it really helps a lot. So cabling right here, this is just going into the back area, which is all lit up. And this is just for how I have it set up with mine, is I want the instructor station here to be lit up. And then I also have the panels, so, and it's all linked, so same colors will match back. Subwoofer down the corner, and then, as I was saying before, you have all of your wiring and stuff back here, and it's all pretty well cable managed, very straightforward, just plug and play. You can see back here all the wiring going, and this is, like I said, it's just all very redundant, very simple, even though it looks complicated, it's very straightforward. So to power the sim, there's one outlet here, there is an outlet down there, and then the second outlet use is for the main television. So 3 outlets there, and then I use one to keep the computer charging. For back behind the panel, there is a shelf underneath, and that holds all of the electronics. So behind here, there's a microcontroller for the control system. In the corner over there is another microcontroller for the engine instruments, and then the other microcontroller will do the radio, and one more which is just handling the various switches. So these all function independently of each other, they run their own software, and they just connect via USB and act as a joystick to the computer. So the sim itself is built out of PVC pipe, and then it has it's foam board, but then it has a special coating on it, so it's a little bit more durable. Held in screws, and sometimes it'll be like washers and stuff like that. All of this also foam board, some electrical tape, and that's very robust. It's velcroed in, so if you need to remove it, you can. This is faux leather. It's brown, very nice, matches everything really well. This is just a foam insulation, so it's very comfortable to hold. Maybe not, perfect to real world, but it's a whole lot cheaper than buying real yokes and that. So the inside itself, it's 42 inches from side to side, and then I think it's like 48 inches tall, so it's not super tall, but it's matching the real Cessna 172 pretty exactly. These chairs are a little bit too tall for what's needed. They should be about 2-3 inches shorter, so that puts your head up a little bit closer to the top here, but if you get proper sized chairs, then it's not a problem. And the way the sim's set up, you'll see traffic, so there's some traffic or other aircraft over there. We have another one taxiing. You'll have people, fuel trucks out there, other trucks will be around, so it's a very kind of real-like mimicking that the sim does. I mean, it's simulating everything, I think, pretty accurately, so it's a lot of fun because you can goof off and see forklifts and stuff doing things, so it's a whole lot of fun for people. I've had multiple people come and fly it, people doing training or just friends, and they all have a blast, so we can goof off a lot. And with it being Microsoft Flight Simulator, it has various challenges you can do, landing challenges, things like that, and it's always a whole lot of fun to do in the sim because it's very immersive. And since this is mainly a DIY simulator, there's lots of things that can be improved on it. So if you want to have it as a project simulator, or maybe somebody's really technical and wants to get wants to modify it or something, that certainly can be done. So lots of these components can be taken off. They're velcroed on, so you can pop out the velcro, take them off, and work on them or whatever it might be. So really good if you just have people want to be hands-on, trying to teach electrical engineering or something like that. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you are interested in buying this flight simulator, I'll have a link for that in the description below. Also, if you want to build one yourself, so kind of do the full DIY route, I do have build plans for this, and I'll have a link for that in the description. So they're super, I think, intuitive. They guide you through everything. It includes all the software and a full PDF manual walking you through it all. So link for that's in the description. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll catch you guys next time. See you.